Fun. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Rock Fantasy Files. We put this little episode together this week, and on this episode, I decided to talk about our favorite releases from the first quarter of 2021. I thought it would be a fun episode, and I wonder if any of these will end up making it in the top 10s that we always do at the end of the year. You know, we're starting off in the first 4 months of the year, and I asked everybody to pick like 3 or 5 of their albums that they'd like to talk about and help promote and think that's a great thing and everything else. So welcome to the show tonight. I got Lenny Buccellato. I don't know if I can say that correctly.
Buccellato
from the Cinema
Slaughter
podcast. I got the mighty John McEntee here from Incantation, of course. One of our regular hosts. We got Peter Pardo over from the Sea of Tranquility with 2 of his pals, Nicholas Franco and Ryan Skow, all from Hudson Valley Square, Sea of Tranquility, and other things. And we got Sasquatch here from the Great White North up in Vancouver. And
EDA.
I'm gonna let I think we're gonna go with Pete Pardo first tonight. He's a little under the weather, but he did join us tonight, so I didn't want to make him wait to be last. Welcome, Pete.
Thanks for having me, Steve. I appreciate it. I always like talking about new stuff because that's what it's all about, right? It's about promoting the new music, and I will say, looking at years past, I really have not listened to a ton of new music this first quarter compared to what I normally do. But I've got 5 that really stood out for me, and I'll as we'll go around, I'll throw a couple out. But the first one I'll start with A because I'll just do it that way. Except Too Mean to Die.
Okay.
So the band, the German, power metal, thrash metal, classic metal, whatever you want to call them. This is now, they've got a handful of albums with Rob Ternillo on lead vocals from TT Quick, produced by Andy Sneap. I mean, if you've listened to the last bunch, it doesn't sound much different. It's heavy, it's catchy, some really cool songs on here, and it's just in your face, melodic, and just really crunchy riffs, great vocals, and pretty damn cool cover. So I've listened to this quite a bit this year, and I'm sure it'll be in my top albums come the end of the year. For right now, it's in the upper echelon. We'll see how the rest of the year plays out.
Excellent. Actually, instead of going you want to go around and around? I guess we could do that. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I almost got in the habit of just doing the whole thing at once, but I think
I can do that if you want. I got them here. Whatever you want to do.
Yeah, knock them out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's knock them out and just do it that way.
All right, cool. Next up, this might be my favorite out of all of them. The Dead Daisies, Holy Ground.
Oh, wow.
I mean, man, I love Glenn Hughes, and
man, yeah.
And he just has injected this, nothing against John Corabi, but Glenn Hughes joins this band and they become a completely different beast. Doug Aldridge on guitars, and it's just such a heavy, grinding album of like classic, heavy rock from the 70s and the 80s, and Glenn just sounds unbelievable on it. Such a great album. And this was supposed to come out in 2020. This kept getting delayed. It finally came out a couple months back. Really good stuff. Next up, Ta La Torre, lead singer from Queensryche, Rejoice in the Suffering. This also could be up there with my favorite album of the year. It's so heavy. He uses like a lot of different vocal styles than he does on the Queensryche albums. To me, it's almost like a more modern Nevermore album. It's kind of like the vibe he's going for here. Yeah, big, huge guitars and a lot of different vocal styles and just crunchy ass guitars. It's just really, really good. This was like the biggest surprise of the year for me so far. And then we got Escape of the Phoenix from Sweden's Evergrey. Killer album. I mean, these guys never disappoint. And this is another heavy album with lots of beauty on it. A lot of, I don't know, it's hard to describe these guys. They're kind of like power metal. They're kind of progressive metal. They're kind of gothic metal. Nobody sounds like them. Thomas England's such a unique vocalist. Big, huge guitar riffs, good amount of keyboards, memorable stuff. It's heavy stuff, great album cover art. And then last but not least, and this just came out the other day, and I've only listened to it twice, and it's amazing. Liquid Tension Experiment 3. This is their first album in many, many years. This is, of course, Mike Portnoy on drums, John Petrucci and Jordan Rudess from Dream Theater on guitars and keyboards, and the great Tony Levin from King Crimson on bass, all instrumental. 2 discs. You've got the first disc is all new original material, all instrumental, and then the second disc is all improvs. Just the guys just kind of just going for it. It's just jaw-droppingly amazing. If you like this sort of thing, I know this is not everybody's cup of tea, but I totally dig it. It's proggy, it's heavy as all hell, and it's just got some absolutely sick instrumental passages. Just amazing stuff. So those are my favorites so far here in early 2021.
All right, thank you. And we're going to touch base. I'm going to do this again at least once or twice more, and we'll compare and see if they're still holding up their values.
Hey, Pete, any honorable mention? Anything that almost made the cut?
Hold on, I will tell you here. Let's see. The new Epica Omega.
Okay.
Great. The new Transatlantic, The Absolute Universe, another Mike Portnoy project. Adrian Smith, Richie Kotzen, which is hold on, I got that right here.
I came out. Yeah.
I just got this. I mean, this is quite good. The new Cheap Trick is quite good.
Wow.
The new MSG Immortal, that's pretty good too. So those
Yeah.
are kind of some of the honorable mentions for me.
Cool. I guess I'm going to move over to Mr. Lenny B. I'm going Lenny B because I'm going to mess up that name again.
Yeah, no problem. And Pete, that Dead Daisies, man, I'm a huge Glenn Hughes fan.
Yeah.
And I like the Black Country Communion, those that band was unbelievable, and basically anything Glenn Hughes does. I mean, he's got such a soulful, rich voice. I mean,
He's a freak of nature. He's almost 70 and he sounds
I know
he did 40 years ago.
I mean, and defying drug addiction and everything else that the guy went through hell his entire life and came out the other end. I mean, he's just unbelievable. He's just totally soulful and just a kick-ass talent.
And I've heard another Black Country Communion album is in the works. I'm not sure.
That would be awesome. I'd love to hear that.
Yeah.
So
the band that we all love but never tours.
Yeah.
Know, right. Yeah.
Right.
Well, no
so
one tours now, but.
I didn't have 5. You told me 3, and I really couldn't decide. So that's all right. I got 4. So I'm gonna go through these. The first one is we're gonna go here. This is a band from France. This is a French black metal band called Aura. And these guys are just unbelievable that what they're putting out. This is a very esoteric black metal album, has elements of traditional black metal, but there's an atmospheric quality to these guys that I just really dig. This is just a real heavy album. There's a ton of great riffage, and the vocals are just really just what you come to expect. When I think of black metal, this album does it for me. So this is Aura. What's the name of this? Oh, this is the beginning of a trio of records. Tells the story of a man who sold his soul to the devil for 150 years of life. And now that he's coming towards the end of that, he's regretting the decision that he made. And now he's trying to find someone to take over his contract. And so this is going to be part 1 of a trio of black metal, a trio of metal albums that are all dedicated to this story, adapted from a novel. So this is Triad Eos, I think is how you pronounce it. But even the artwork, it's tough to see because there's so much going on here.
Yeah, it's hard to see.
It's tough, but that's the first selection that I have. That's it's a great album. I can't say enough about them. My second one is a band called Yoten. I think I'm probably butchering this album. Yoten is this is Access All Worlds. This band is of like cosmic, and it has elements of black metal. It has elements of death metal to it. They have a mixture of almost like this cosmic chaos about their sound, and they mix clean vocals and this this blackened style as well. And this was a very surprising Metal Blade release that I just happened really dig into. And man, oh man, the lead vocalist has this quality to him. It's almost like Messiah Marcolin.
Oh wow.
He has this really progressive, and I don't want to use the word histrionic because it has like a negative connotation, but his vocals are really like super powerful as well. And there's a real incredible melody to these guys. This is Access All Worlds. I can't recommend this enough. This is like on
Okay.
heavy rotation. I can't stop listening to it.
Good.
Yeah. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with this band. These guys are real independent stuff. This is Merecognitum.
Yes.
I love this band. It's a one-man project. Merecognitum is actually an ocean. Nice. It's an ocean on the moon. Obviously not a real ocean, but it's hundreds of years ago when they were observing celestial bodies, they found this what they thought was an ocean on the moon. And it just is a dormant volcano from, obviously when the moon had active volcanoes. Anyway, so he took the name of his band from this, celestial body, and he has spent an entire discography exploring cosmic and celestial thoughts and ideals. This one is kind of an inward pull and talks about a lot of things that are happening with this world right now and things that are going on. He gets more political about what's currently going on, fascism, hatred in all of its kind. And man, it's such a powerful album. The drumming, the guitars, just there's a drone quality to it, but it puts you in this mindset that really takes you to celestial origins. I mean, I can't say enough great things about this band either. And I'll just show off a little bit because it's easy to do so. But you can see the orange sunburst, orange red sunburst on vinyl. So this is just really cool stuff. So that's another one of my favorite records this year. And last but not least, I had to go with this just kick-ass black metal band from Quebec. These guys are Spectral Wound. I just absolutely, this is just a fucking beast of a record. This is a diabolic thirst. And, black metal, there's a lot of, these guys are from Canada, but they are channeling Scandinavian black metal, and this is just nonstop. The guitars are just relentless on this, and the vocals just will shred your face off. It's just an intense 6 songs, but most of them are between 7 and 9 minutes or 11 minutes long, and they just go for broke on this record. And this is just another one. I bought it on vinyl, but I've just been this just came in a couple of days ago, but I've been listening to the digital because it's just an earworm if you're a black metal freak. It just gets into under your skin. So this is a really great disc. Can't say enough.
I don't know why, but there's kind of like a uprising of black metal happening in Quebec. Like I've been hearing of like bands after bands after bands, and like because I'm from there, sometimes people will, hey, listen to this, listen to that, right? But I've been surprised with the quality of the black metal coming out of Quebec.
Yeah, me too. It's like a resurgence of or just they had an epiphany or something. Maybe there's something in the water right now, something dark and sinister that's happening in Quebec right now. But man,
something in the poutine.
Right, it's right. It's in the poutine. So yeah, man, Spectral Wound, a diabolic thirst. Check it out. You won't be disappointed.
Steve, I love this guy.
Dude, I think if Pete ever needs another guy for the squares, like extreme stuff to make Butch all upset, you can definitely invite Lenny.
Yeah, it's nice to
Yeah, I mean, I like mainstream metal. Don't get me wrong. I mean, there's so many genres that you could pick from. I mean, there's doom and everything else that you could just dig, sink your teeth into. But I just in the last 4 or 5 years, there's just so many great black metal projects out there. I mean,
Cool.
just take your pick. I mean, there's so many great bands. So
If this was our other show, you wouldn't have got past Merecognitum. You wouldn't have got past it.
No. What's that? What's that? What's your shirt say?
We won't be able to stop talking about it, I mean, dude, it's just, I mean, I had to get in on the reissues that they came out with a couple of years ago too. They're just, forget. I could go on and on and gush about this band. So,
you know what? I'm gonna throw this is gonna be anarchy. I'm gonna go next.
You madman.
I go next.
Wow.
I go last. I'm gonna go next.
Why?
All right, so I got 5 picked out. This is the 3rd studio album from Finnish doom metal band Mariana's Rest, who I discovered from the channel and from Napalm Records with the album called Fata Magana. And this is another album which he was talking about. It's a 3rd part of a story. And it's in that Finnish doom. If you like Swallow the Sun, you're definitely gonna like this. It's in that same kind of atmosphere. And for my number 4, I'm gonna go with another band that I interviewed on here a few weeks ago, The Crown, Swedish.
That's a great disc. That's a great album, man.
Yeah.
That's when they've done in like
studio album from Sweden's The Crown, Royal Destroyer. I didn't really go through all the tracks, but Let the Hammering Begin, Ultra Fast, Glorious Hades. It's a strong album by The Crown, and I hope people don't overlook it, because without touring and without everything else, and we know we have some musicians in the room tonight, it's tough to put albums out right now. And I give all these bands all the credit in the world for putting out albums and giving us some music right now.
That's their best album in like 20 years, dude. I love that album.
Do you think it's that good? Okay.
I think it's the best Crown in Terror, and I've been listening to the fuck out of that Crown album. I think it's real good.
Well, this album here is from a band that some of you guys in death metal may have heard of.
I never heard of
that. I don't know.
Cannibal what?
Cannibal Corpse, their name is.
They're never gonna make it.
Are they new? Is that a new band?
Yeah, with a name like that,
A name like that, they're never gonna make it.
Not from Buffalo.
No.
Nobody likes Buffalo bands.
It's so derivative.
So it's the 15th studio album from death metal, kind of the kings of the death metal scene. They're the ones that play the biggest halls and everything else. And I would just say that this is a strong record. I just got it yesterday, so it's
good.
very hard for me to rate it compared to some
fucking
other
good.
things. What's that?
I said I think it's fucking good. It sounds like Cannibal Corpse, but the songs are fucking good.
With adding Eric Graton, of course, doesn't hurt at all. And sad to see Pat go, but it's a strong record from what I've heard. I've listened to it 3 or 4 times today. The Condemnation, Contagion, it really sticks out. Surround, Kill, Devour. All your splatter and zombie topics are all covered well. And it's a very hard album to get. I didn't even get any for the store. I got CDs. We're starting to run out of them. Metal Blade sold out of everything. It's so popular. And of course, with COVID going on, it's hard to get vinyl. They're not manufacturing them fast enough. But wanted to mention that. My number 2 album right now from this part from the beginning of this year, 2021, is the 13th studio album from Portugal's metal legends, Moonspell. And this is called Hermitage. It's a hauntingly good album that fits in so well with the pandemic and everything that's going on in a lot of our lives right now. And it's all about being a hermit and being in solitude. And this is all stuff that Fernando wrote even before this went on, but it just fits my soul when I listen to it. I can't stop listening to this record. It's not the heaviest album Moonspell's ever done, but I just think it's very well put together. Tracks like The Greater Good, Common Prayers, All or Nothing, Hermitage, Hermit Saints. I love them all. And the first studio, my number 1 album for this year so far, I guess, I don't know if these are in any order. And of course, Cannibal Corpse is coming in late. So this is the Casey Kasem Top 40. That was debuting at number 3. But by next week, they could have.
His voice.
Up with a bullet, and with the fifth studio album from Nervosa, with Perpetual Chaos is my number one. Of course, whole new lineup. Prika is back with vocalist Diva Satanica, bassist Mia Wallace, and drummer Alina Noda. It's a strong album, and it's an album that I really have gotten into this year. And I've been helping to try to promote this and everything. We've had, Prika's been helping out with the channel a lot. We've had Mia on a couple times, and we've had Diva on. And I think it's a strong album from Nervosa. So that's my list, I guess. Hopefully everybody that's watching can jot in some things that they're liking, and hopefully some of the people on the channel here today can add a couple of those and just write them down in the comments so people, can look that stuff up too. I'm going to move over to Mr. John McEntee. How are you tonight, sir?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm hanging in here, guys.
Cool. Okay. Well, yeah, I originally had a top 3, but I did a little research and came up with a couple other ones I thought were good. But I wanted to say that I guess if I have to go in order, number 5 would be their Nervosa album that you just said. I think it's really good.
Cool.
I'm not that familiar with the other albums, so I didn't really have much to compare it to. I heard some stuff from the earlier albums, but never jogged my attention pretty much. So this one I liked. I think it has a more traditional Brazilian sound to it. It's weird because I guess less of the group is from Brazil, but it sounds more traditionally Brazilian, I mean, the riffing style reminds me a lot of the old Cogmello bands like Sarcophago and
Yes.
maybe Chackhole or what I don't know, any of those. I mean, really, a lot of those bands had a very similar sound to it, and it just sounds like a 2021 version of something that could have came out in, I don't know, 87 or something in Brazil. So I think, I just love the fact that it has that vibe, because that's actually my sweet spot for Brazil. I really like that early Sepultura era, like the Morbid Visions, even though I know the guitars are out of tune, but I still like the album. And I just like that, something about that raw sound of Brazil in that time, where it was just like a really like, screw the world, we're doing what we want to do. We don't even have the technology or nothing to make it happen. I mean, the stories you hear about the recordings back then were just phenomenal. So any band that kind of brings some of that into 2021, I think is all right with me, I guess I'll say. So yeah, that's one of my favorites for sure. I mean, I don't, like I said, I don't have it definitely in an order, but there was another song that I heard that the album isn't out yet. I guess it's coming out next month, but the song sounded pretty good. It's this band called Grave Miasma. I'm not very familiar with them, but I put a post because I knew there was stuff that I missed this year, and that was, I mean, I got so many I couldn't even listen to them all, but this is one I just happened to listen to because it was just like the promo video for the album coming out, and it was really good song. I mean, it had an old school death metal vibe, but it also had like I don't know how to explain it, like maybe something you'd expect from like Exciter or a band like that kind of school, like that, I don't know, pre-thrash kind of vibe to it, but at the same time, it still has a kind of a dark death metal vibe. I think to me, it's a good mixture of, mixing the atmosphere. What's that?
Like early speed metal?
Yeah, kind of like a little bit of early speed metal mixed in with like atmospheric death doom kind of stuff. So it's really, to me, it was an interesting mix, and I thought the song was good. So I don't think the whole album's up anywhere to listen to yet, and so I don't know if the whole album is as good as that song. But I thought
comes out May 14th, I think.
Yeah,
John, all this stuff is everything they've done is awesome. Like, you would love them. But
yeah, I'm not familiar with them really. They're just one of those bands that got caught off the radar. There were a lot of bands that played in the kind of they started off with a similar style to us actually, and I kind of like didn't pay attention to him, because why do I want to hear other bands that have us as like major influences? It's just not enjoyable. But now a lot of those bands are starting to venture off into their own areas and using more of their own influences. So now I'm starting to get more into them, and maybe I'll go back and listen to more of their stuff.
Their old guitarist was in Destroyer 666 for years, so that's probably where that thrash speed metal crossover comes in a little, because I hear that too. And that
yeah, I thought it was an interesting mix, because it had like that atmospheric thing, and then like like kind of a speed metal or something. It just reminded me of, going to the record store in mid 80s or something and looking at just those, metal albums, just the kind of pre-thrash albums. Like, that vibe in the video. It had that, what am I trying to say? They had that vibe in the video, and then just the song just had that. It was just a weird hybrid, which I thought was really cool. But okay, then let me see. Also, Pete Pardo brought up the Dead Daisies, and I didn't have that on my list, but that's a great album. I totally didn't even think about it when making this list. I mean, that's an amazing album. If you're into that kind of stuff with Glenn Hughes, and I mean Doug Ulrich on guitar. I mean, it's just it's like a hard rock, but I mean, I love really almost all the stuff that Glenn Hughes does. I mean, his voice is just so soulful, and it just I don't know how to explain it. It just works really good. Everything he does. But the problem is with everything he does, it always sounds so much like him, because his voice is so distinct. Even if the music's different, it just, every band almost sounds like kind of another one of his projects instead of sound like their own band. Maybe that's at least my perception, But so that I mean, that whole album I thought was just phenomenal and stuff. So that, I guess we'll go with number 3 for that one. And then another one, I think the new Cannibal Corpse is a great one. What's the Violence Unimagined? I mean, that I was hoping to get that album from you, but you said you never got any copies of it. So
Brian Slagle, if you're watching, make more.
Yeah.
Actually reaching out to Dan Fitzgerald from Metal Blade tomorrow when they get more in stock. A lot of stores I heard did not get them either. So.
Yeah, that really sucks.
It's everyone's so excited, for this to come out. Like
and it's a really great album. I like the fact that, to me, some of it sounds like Immolation almost. Some of those riffs, the riff styles on some parts have an Immolation-ish vibe to it, but also traditional Cannibal Corpse vibe to it. And other parts reminded me of like a supercharged version of like Old Possessed or something on some of the riffs. So, I mean, for me, those are all bands that I really like. So I was really happy to hear it. I don't know. I didn't look in enough to it to see how much Eric Rutan really contributed to it songwriting wise, but I know overall, it just works. The whole album works really good. I mean, it's what you would expect from a Cannibal Corpse. I mean, it's brutal, and the gore lyrics and stuff, but there's some impressive guitar riffs on there, and just the performances are top notch. I mean, Eric Rutan's amazing, but the whole band are just amazing. I mean, Alex Webster, I mean, come on, he's one of the best in the death metal bass players, and was Rob Barrett is an amazing guitar player too. So it's definitely killer. And I mean, George sounds great. The whole band sounds great on the album. I think I was a pleasant surprise, because they've been around so long. I mean, they've been doing great, but some of their albums in the say the last few albums, they were good, but they didn't really stick with me necessarily. Like I was like, okay, it's a Cannibal Corpse album. It's good, but it's not great. But this one, I think they pushed it over the line, where I think they really came up with a great album with some original ideas mixed in with their stuff that you'd expect from. So I think that's, kind of a perfect thing for someone that's into Cannibal Corpse. It's what you want. It kind of, I would say it has stuff from maybe all eras of Cannibal Corpse plus a lot more. So
some of the best reviews they've had in a long time.
Yeah, it is.
I haven't heard it yet, but Eric Rutan's got a pretty distinct guitar sound, and you would have to think he's going to bring a little something to the table to kind of mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, he was already producing their albums already for a while, so he was already pretty intimate with the band in general. So it had to have been a flawless you know, transition. But yeah, I mean, he's an amazing guitar player. Everything he's done ever since he jammed with Ripping Corpse, he's always been one of the top guitar players in death metal for sure. And the riffs on there, I like it better than the stuff that he does in Hate Eternal, because Hate Eternal, I can't even hear what the hell he's doing. It's talented, but it's so damn fast. Everything's so damn fast. My brain just doesn't register. Here, it's at a speed that I could actually hear some of the cool riffs that he's doing and stuff like that, you know? So anyway, I don't want to be too long-winded on all this, but my last one is that new Asphyx album. It's Necrosaurus or whatever they call it. Yeah, that one I actually have a copy I can show you that I got from Rock Fantasy.
Woohoo!
Yeah, and it's a
shameless plug.
Yeah,
plug, man.
It's a killer.
And I still have that on the shelf if you want to walk in and buy it.
It's a great album. I mean, it's not like Asphyx doesn't reinvent the wheel, you know. They do what they do and they do it well. And I think the album is just, you know, another great album. Probably their best album since Death is the Brutal Way in mid 2000s. It just has, it has everything you'd expect. It has the kind of the doomier kind of songs that they have, the kind of like mid tempo, almost like an old Celtic Frost Hellhammer vibe to some of the riffs and stuff like that. And
solid record, solid.
Yeah, it's a great record. You know, everything's played well. I mean, Martin Van Drunen sounds, you know, great as always. You know, it's just a great album. I mean, they're in general for death metal, they're up there as one of my favorite bands. So of course, when, you know, an album comes out, I'm going to be happy to hear it. And they've never really disappointed, even though some of their stuff earlier in their career did switch over to a little more of a black metal vibe to it. Since Death the Brutal Way, it's really kept it on a cool, chunky, you know, path or whatever. Yes, that. And there's one other one I just wanted to bring up that actually was on my list for last year, but I guess it got released on vinyl this year, which was a Troops of Doom album. I don't know if you guys heard that. It's so good. I mean, it goes back to, you know, why I like the new Nervosa album. It has that old Brazilian vibe to it, but it's like modern sounding. I mean, but modern in a good way. Like I'm not saying it's modern as far as modern metal, but the production is like full. It's like listening to Morbid Visions, you know, or even Schizophrenia almost, but like with a 2021 production. And it works somehow. Like I wouldn't think that a band sounding, you know, that's basically playing songs from, you know, 87 or could do an album now and the songs sound fresh. It sounds like early Sepultura. Like, you know, I just love that stuff. The vocalist Alex in that band sounds great. The whole band is just phenomenal too. Another great release, but it's official. Like, I think the EP CD was released in 2020 and then 2021 the vinyl got released. I just had to throw that one in. Besides that, I just wanted to mention that there are those Black Sabbath reissues that I don't have yet, you know, Heaven and Hell and Mob Rules.
I don't have either. I can't get them either.
And that's something I'm looking forward to hopefully finding somewhere for halfway reasonable price. And then also Dio has that was it Evil or Divine? I think the one in New York City re-released recently.
Yeah.
So, and that's a killer one too. That has Doug Ulrich on guitar. So that's, you know, one of my favorite eras of Dio. So that's it.
Yeah, those Black Sabbath reissues, I've got them on CD, but I didn't get any.
I think Pardo has them, right?
Yeah, I got all of them. Yeah.
He got the CDs from me. Yeah.
I want the vinyl, Steve. But yeah,
I know.
Me
They're
too.
still back ordered. I don't think that was a limited edition. I think you'll see them again. I don't think that was a one-off run.
Yeah, I wanted to get on vinyl.
I ended up getting I got the digital copies of them on, you know, Apple Music just to have them until I find the vinyl.
The vinyl is really tough. It's just a COVID thing. I just can't make them fast enough, I guess. I know my one stop got shorted. And I have to apologize to Asphyx for some reason. I thought this was from last year, and that would have probably done in my top 5. So I'm going to throw that up there. And I forgot to get my honorable mentions. the new Tribulation, which
That's
is
good.
where the gloom becomes sound. And I will mention Evergrey that Pete mentioned before, and Epica I thought was pretty strong. I haven't listened to it a ton, so those are my honorables. And
Got
I
this
guess,
too.
I guess if you want to buy Rob Zombie, you can come buy
Oh,
that,
wow.
too.
Yeah, if we got any Jethro Tull fans, this just
Oh
came
wow,
out.
yeah, I saw
New
that.
A,
man.
new A box set. Man, it's just great. It's got a big, huge book in it, and
Yeah, wow.
a whole full live show from 1980 at the LA Sports Arena
Wow.
by Stephen Wilson, and a DVD, and yeah, all sorts of great shit. So
I had one question for Pete before we move on. Is
All right.
what did you think of that that unreleased Black Sabbath song that what's his name? The estate of
Jeff released. I mean, it's cool to hear. You know, it's not a really good song, but it as an unreleased Black Sabbath song, jam or whatever, it's kind of cool. You know, for my money, they should have put that on one of the new reissues. But you know,
I
Tony
think
is like really picky about what goes on those. So they were really unhappy with that getting released.
Yeah, I was, for me as a junkie for Black Sabbath, I was so happy to hear it. And
It's cool, right?
you know, from it's maybe it's not, you know, probably the worst song that would have been on the album, but still for Black Sabbath's worst song is still really good for me, you know.
Oh yeah, yep, yep.
I just
Speaking
was
of
curious.
Black Sabbath, you guys got to look, and I think you can start pre-ordering them now. Is Sabbath Arrow, the Tony Dolan's the Black Sabbath project is sounding amazing and looking amazing, and I'm hoping that I get my hands on some vinyl of that. But I'd say direct order that one because it's limited, I believe.
Hey Steve, speaking of Sabbath, also, any information on the Sabotage reissue that's coming out?
Oh, that'd be nice.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a deluxe set
Yeah, I
coming
heard
out of
about
that
that.
too.
Oh, there is. I'm
Yeah.
have to look into that and get back to you.
Okay.
Yep, yep. That's one of my favorite albums by them.
Yeah, yeah.
Somebody
too.
asked us the other day, what would you listen to in front of some stereo?
Yeah, that was Ricky Rackman
Ricky
asked us that.
Ragman asked us that, right? And
Put us on the spot.
I said Black Sabbath Sabotage, and I think John said it, Black Sabbath.
I said Heaven and Hell, or like, I don't know, some early Motorhead or something. I said.
Yeah,
I didn't know
picked
what. I wasn't
Motorhead.
ready for it.
No, I mean, that was a nice interview. Ricky was very cool to talk to, actually.
Mhm.
But I still apologize for not telling him to play your band that day. So.
I know, bastard.
He's mad at me since. He doesn't even want to look at me.
God damn it.
So we're going to go with one of the next three. We've got 4 down. We got 3 to go. And I think we're going to go with Sasquatch next. If Sasquatch done eating
All
dinner,
right.
Sasquatch
I was just talking, like I'm still drooling over that black metal list provided by Lenny and talking to my daughter in Montreal. She was recommending, she told me to like wake up and like start listening to good music. Anyway. I think my number 5, like, you know, a lot of people say like rock is dead and there's no good music. Like, you know, I always make
It's
the
such
joke.
bullshit.
Like, exactly. Like, you know, if you search and you look for it, like you'll find it. There's a lot of amazing music out there.
Sure.
And bands like, there's a lot of bands that like, you know, were great at the beginning of their career, and then they had like a funk, and then now they're back and doing great music. Like the Cheap Trick album is amazing, and a lot of the
I can't wait to hear that.
Yeah, the last Blue Oyster Cult also was very cool. Okay, let's go over my list. So number 5 for me was the new Agent Steel. No Other Gods Before Me. Agent Steel, it's a band I never really like fully like embraced at any point in my life, but every time I listen to them, I find that they sound good. Like the high pitched vocal, the speed, like, you know, like it's always well produced, it's always well done. And I find that now, like Agent Steel and like in 2021, they were able to deliver a great album. It's well done, it's well packaged. You know, there's intros, weird stuff. They're always like in space and talking about space stuff. It's a funny band because, like I said, I never really fully got into them, but I think like sonically, it's always been appealing to my ears. So I've been like finding myself to listen to it again and again and again and again. So
I gotta say, what I was gonna say, Mad Locust Rising and Unstoppable Force are amazing albums. Oh,
yeah.
I remember jamming to those big time back in the day. That was great stuff. I haven't followed them since then.
Didn't they cover Priest the Ripper too? I think.
Yeah, they did on that. Yeah. With those like ridiculously high vocals.
Ridiculously.
It sounds great though. I love that song. Unstoppable Force is great. Mad Locust Rising. Those are some really impressive.
God, I haven't heard this record in so many years.
They're still good. You throw them
so
on.
long.
They stand
they're
up.
classics.
It sounds good. It sounds good.
That's the joy of
I
this
gotta check them
channel.
out now.
Sometimes, like we're doing, you got the guys from Howl's Eve. It's like I haven't listened to Howl's Eve in like 30 years, but I remember how good they are now. You know, we revisit a lot of stuff from doing the episodes. Sorry, we're railroading Denny's top.
Yeah, sorry about that. I just had to bring up.
We're all friends here. You guys can do whatever you want.
Cheers.
Number 4, I went like beside listening like the crushing metal that like pierced my ears, my brain, and all that. Like I'm a huge prog fan, so a lot of times I listen to Emerson, Lake and Palmer and that type of music and Frank Zappa and all that stuff. So my number 4 for this year, it's an amazing album. It's from Steve Hackett. It's called Under Mediterranean Sky. Mediterranean, I can't even say it anymore. Great album. It's more like acoustic, like versus like some of the latest album that he's been doing. But Steve Hackett from Genesis, that's his 26th album, solo album.
Wow. He was the best.
I saw him in Seattle like just before COVID hit. And it was an amazing concert. The guy is like so underrated guitar player. He can do pretty much anything, and he's very tasteful in his note selection and all. But yeah, that album's amazing. Lots of acoustic stuff. But I find myself like, working and listening to it, and I thought it was a great album. I'm really going like classic rock somehow, but I also like the new Alice Cooper. Like I don't know why, but like, I'm a fan from way back, but I find like Alice Cooper, like the album Detroit Stories, I find like he always try to find a way to try to do new relevant music. Like it's classic rock and all that. I find like he always try to find a way to have some great song on these albums. And like, again, good listening, easy listening for me. And that's an album that I really liked. Number 2, I'm a Michael Schenker, like nuts. So like he could like release the worst album in the world and I would be like, dude, this is like fucking awesome, right? But Immortal, not all the songs are great on it, but the songs that are good are amazing. And yeah, I think he wrote songs with a very variety of people. He had a producer that actually ended up singing on the record with him. I have my favorite singer, and my favorite singers from MSG. I like when Gary sings. I don't like as much Doogie White and all that, but like from as a guitar player, listening to Michael Schenker, like I don't know if you guys ever seen him live, but like
I have.
Yeah,
he plays guitar like I drink a beer. Like it's so easy. And I thought it was a good release for him. And my number 1 for the year so far, same as Steven, it's the Nervosa, Perpetual Chaos. I like
here.
Well, I like the way that she does triplets, and like John's right, like it's got that like early Brazilian freaking like we're gonna like chop your head off in the fucking Amazon, like it's got that vibe, right? And like when we we used to discover all these bands from down there, we were like, wow, these guys are probably like don't have a house or bare feet and like machete and guitars and stuff like that, but I get that vibe, like, and I think that with the new musician that she has with her, it's definitely like the whole package, and I see that band actually getting pretty popular this year. And And that's it. Honorable mention, the only other thing I can think of right now, I've been listening like to the new Blackmore's Night. I like Richie Blackmore. It's completely like not metal, but the new album's not bad. And that's about it for me. Yeah.
Thank you, Sasquatch.
I'm interrupting so much. I know you guys are gonna hate
That's
me
fine.
for this. I think that I forgot to mention one of my picks for the year. Did I say the Fossilization album?
No.
Okay.
No.
They have a new album out. I don't have it. I ordered it. It's called He Whose Name Was Long Forgotten. I think they're from Netherlands. And that was actually one of the things that I had some people on my Facebook suggest to me when I knew about, I was doing the show. I was thinking about some bands to look into, and I really, really like the album. It's I guess it's considered funeral doomish, kind of. It's another band that I think is really kind of influenced by us in a way. I feel like a retard saying that, but they're kind of influenced by like, especially like our Mortal Throne Nazarene album or something. But they do it in a more funeral doom way, and it's like a really melodic-y, just heavy, it's like good music to listen to when you want to listen to something dark. You don't want to put a lot of thought into it. You're maybe doing something else, and you just want to hear some evil music going on in the background. It was a really cool release. I was really impressed with it. I've only listened to it on YouTube because I didn't get the vinyl yet of it. It's still in the mail, but it was just a good release by a band I knew nothing about. And when I first heard it, I was like, it just right off the bat, it just had that vibe that I like in a newer death metal band. And I'd like to give props to, newer death metal type bands that do stuff that impresses me because,
Awesome.
you're doing it for so long, you get not many things really impress you that much after a while,
Mhm.
Anyway, that's it. I'm sorry about that.
John, you had me at Evil, so I just added them on Bandcamp. I'm gonna go check them out, baby.
Cool. Yeah.
I can't wait to hear them. Yeah.
Yes. Awesome.
All righty. Who do I go to next? It's one of the Hudson Valley Squares Monday night guys. Most of them don't have any hair. Who are we going to go with?
No hair.
With you, Ryan Skow, you spoke first.
All right.
You're next, my friend.
Thanks for having me. I had definitely some good picks here. Really had to sort through my collection. And I have been listening to what's up? Well, I've been listening to a lot of not good stuff, so I'm just gonna go alphabetically.
Okay.
So the first one is I'm very picky with I do like power metal. I'm very picky with power metal. I find the albums I like and I tend to stick with them. A lot of the newer stuff, I don't know, it lacks like, even ironically it's power metal, but it lacks power to me. It just kind of floats by. Kick drums don't have a lot of like oomph to them. But I heard this band, they're from Massachusetts, which is a hotbed of power metal. They're called Adamantis. The album's called,
power metal, huh?
yeah, they're from I think somewhere around Boston, Brighton, Massachusetts. The album's called Far Flung Realm. Yeah, that's
Oh, yeah, I see it. Yeah.
So,
Pretty cool.
Okay.
it's kind of like when I say power metal, one of my favorite power metal bands is Blind Guardian, where the German sound. And these guys kind of remind me of Blind Guardian a little bit, not like a ripoff, but they have that same sense where it's got like a lot of like, it's like fist in the air, like, I mean, if you like Blind Guardian, like you already know exactly what I'm talking about. Like Nick, I know you worship those guys. So this came out. They self-released it last year, but it came out on an actual label this year. It was on Cruz del Sur Records from Italy. Put it out. So yeah, they're standing. Obviously, now one of the guys got a sword standing around somewhere, probably in Cape Cod or wherever.
In Massachusetts.
No, this is the guy's vocals are great. Tons of good leads.
Massachusetts.
It's kind of got like some more like mid-paced, like Man of War style, like that kind of metal. A lot of faster stuff, which is where the Blind Guardian influence kind of comes in. So yeah, this is a really good album. And it's I only probably buy like 1 or 2 power metal albums a year because I'm so picky with it. But yeah, this one on my list, and this is the best one I've heard in quite a while. So I'm just going to go alphabetically. Cool. So the second one is a very cult band that I love. I never really recommend them to people because they're so fucking weird. But they're an old band, they're an old black metal band from the Netherlands. This is their 16th album. It's self-released. The band is called Countess, and the album is Banners of Blood. And they've been around since like 1990, 91. They were a really old band. For a long time, it was just one dude, and he guy Orlok. His name's taken from the old Nosferatu pick, the old silent film. And I say black metal, but it's not like Norwegian style black metal. It's almost, it's like you took Manowar and you made it like just like necro and cult as fuck. It has like that swagger to it. There's no black beats. There's no there's nothing Scandinavian at all. It's like very old school. But the vocals are, I'm gonna just admit it, the vocals are kind of weird. If you've ever listened to like Immortal Inquisition, like Abbott, Dagon's vocals, it's a little weirder than that. But that's kind of the path they go down. So I'm just kind of like, people hear this band and they hear his vocals, they're like, I don't think so. But I love them, but yeah, they've this is the first album, I think, or first one, or actually this might be the first album where he had a full band. So he's put a full band together. So now he's got a drummer, bass player, other guitarists, not just himself. Even though I like the stuff where it's just him. But yeah, it's called Banners of Blood. Got a ton of songs on it. It's just good, solid, like classic heavy metal mixed with like old school black metal, like Venom, Bathory, kind of that Man of War feel, like I said. So going with that. Third one on my list is a Norwegian black metal band. Band is called Misotheist. It's on Terratur Possessions, and the album is For the Glory of Your Redeemer. And you know what? I know when you say black metal, like obviously Norwegian black metal is kind of the go-to, like Mayhem, Dark Throne, Emperor, Satyricon, like all the biggest names are Norwegian. But there hasn't been like a newer Norwegian bands in a long time that kind of like, that's like fucking like black metal, like a lot of those bands kind of got into different stuff, which is fine, and there's been newer bands that have kind of like, obviously a band like Ulver turned into like Depeche Mode, which I love, but they went in a totally different direction. So there's a little label from Trondheim, Norway called Terratur, and they've been digging up these bands that are solid fucking black metal, and they don't sound like, it's not like, oh, here's Dark Throne 2.0 or here's another Emperor. They don't sound like that. They're doing their own thing, totally unique, but it's still immediately identifiable as like classic, like Scandinavian black metal, like to the bone. And this album, it's only 3 songs. They're all really fucking long. It's got this awesome black and white kind of cover art. This is just, you put this on headphones, it's just like freezing cold, old school, riffs, drums, bass, vocals, has no modern flourishes at all. But it doesn't sound like kind of like the forefathers from that genre, which is tough to do. You're kind of walking the razor's edge there to kind of like, get a little bit from both worlds. And these guys manage it very good. This is their second album. So
Ryan, what's the name of that band again?
The band is called Misotheist. Let's see if I can zoom in there. Yeah, they're on.
I'm gonna ask you guys to do some homework when this goes up. I'll let you know, and maybe you can put some of the titles in the comments. Yeah.
It's on Terratur Possessions. Yeah,
okay, especially in case Butch Jones is watching, he's gonna want to know.
Yeah, it's got this fucking sick gatefold artwork. This is just bizarre.
Oh,
yeah, this is just fucking awesome. You got like angels and demons and a little breastfeeding going on there. So no, this is sound. This is good stuff. So the next one is probably my favorite album so far from this year. So an Australian death metal band. But when I say death metal, like I'm not really into like more technical stuff like Atheist, Cynic, like Later Death, like Symbolic, Sounds of Perseverance. I like those albums, but it's like honestly, I'd rather listen to like Onward to Golgotha. But these guys are very, these guys are a strong except. Like, that's just the kind of death metal I'm into. But this is an Australian band called Stargazer, and it's way too much reflection on there. Yeah, this is crazy. This is their fourth album.
Looks like it's
Secretions. I tell you what, the bass player on this band, Damon Good, I'd put this dude up against Alec Webster or any bassist you can name in metal. This guy is a fucking phenom, and it's one of the coolest things about this album and his band is his bass playing. It's just like next level 70s like prog rock shit. It's like the level of like classic rocks in a death metal band. It's beyond like it's just like ear candy. It really is. And the songs aren't long. Like they're very concise with their songwriting. It never gets like masturbatory where they're just throwing notes at you with no focus, which is cool because a lot of the technical metal kind of loses me when they just start throwing solos and fucking like riffs. Like, where are you going with this? You need to write a song. And these guys are very aware of that. So this is on Nuclear War Now Records from California. It's Psychic Secretions, and the band is Stargazer. And I wish the art was cool. It almost
been
has
around
like,
for a really long time.
Yeah, they've been around since the early '90s. They went years without putting out an album, and then they finally started putting out albums of kind of like rapid progression. Yeah, and these guys are in like 800 million. Like if you go on Metal Archives and you look up this band, they're in about 800 million other bands, all of which are good. Some of which are power metal bands, some of which kind of sound like Exciter, some doom metal bands. They're in another death metal band that sings about pirates, and they're fucking cool. Called your Black Ram. It's not like cheesy at all. It's not like Running Wild either. Yeah, it's good shit. But this is my favorite band that these guys are in, and if nothing else, just for the bass playing, you got to check these guys out because it's just like it's beyond my ability to explain it. My last pick is the coolest artwork for the year for me. It's a band from Innsbruck, Austria. This is on Invictus Productions. The band's called Transylvania. That is some fucking cool artwork. And the album's called Of Sleep and Death. And you know what? The little PR blurb for this does a pretty good job. So take classic Niflheim, Emperor, and Dissection and just kind of swirl them around. So it's a Tormentor too. So it's got a lot of I love Eastern European black metal like Root, Master's Hammer, like fucking Tormentor with Attila. And these guys have that sound a little bit. It's got a little bit of that Dissection Emperor thing. So there's a little Scandinavian feel, but not much. It's pretty unique. They sing about like a lot of Eastern European like vampire traditions, which is cool because they don't sing about like typical stuff. So they kind of stick to like their native stuff. Band photos are cool. They're all like inside a lake there. It's good. So yeah, it's if you like old Dissection.
And who says there's not any new rock and metal coming out, guys?
That artwork, I love that art. I think it's cool.
Right? Why haven't you beaten me over the head with that?
I don't know. I thought I told you this. But, my stuff goes in my head and it falls back out. But
he won't tell me because if I get it in the store, he won't like it anymore.
No. It's on one of my favorite labels on Invictus Productions from Dublin, Ireland. Give them a little shout out.
Great
Ireland, cool.
And the album's Of Sleep and Death, and the band is Transylvania, and they're from Austria. So obviously, my favorite band from Austria is probably Summoning. But these guys are up there. They're really fucking good. So that's my 5.
Ryan, did you hear the Blind Golem album from Italy?
Yes, I love that. That is straight up Uriah Heep worship. Is that 2021?
Yeah.
I know it's the last album with Ken Hensley, the immortal Uriah Heep. That's great. Obviously, honorable mentions. The Crown album, like Steve said, they put out some kind of weak albums there for a while. They had some kind of difficult years, but like the classic album from 2000, Death Race King, is like one of the that is just pure. Like if you're in the gym or you're lifting weights or running, nothing better. It's like the Rain and Blood of like Swedish death metal. It's so fucking intense, and that album's good. So, I know I'm gonna steal this right from Nick, but the new Dread Sovereign, which is a doom metal band with Alan from Primordial, is kind of like I'll let Nick explain that one a little more. That's a really good one.
Nick already said I need to hear that record the other night.
You'll like the fuck out of it, Steve. It's good. So that's what I got.
Well, thanks for joining us tonight, Ryan. Hopefully we can have you back for another episode soon.
Glad to be here.
And last but not least, my center square, Nicholas Franco.
All right, what's up? Thanks for having me on.
I hope you have cool names like Stargazer and Transylvania.
Oh, yeah. It's nice to be able to say those names without everybody going, what? I'd never heard of a foreign name before.
I'll do that for you, Nick, if it makes you feel better.
Oh, God, yeah.
I'll jump on your ass.
There's no posers in this room.
So my first one, I just want to throw out there. It's not a rock or metal album, but it's Wardruna from Norway, and it's very like meditative.
A great band.
Natural.
Great band.
Yeah, and then he just keeps Einar Selvik just keeps putting out great music in this vein, and it's very like Norwegian mythical poetry in the old language. He's got a female singer there, Lindy Faye Hella, and they do a hell of a job with the vocals. It's beautiful stuff.
That's a band I saw in a castle in Norway, Nick.
Yeah, asshole. Yes, you saw
Wardruna.
Yeah, I saw them in the band in a
building in Brooklyn.
Fucking cool.
Well, I saw them in Red Rocks Amphitheater in Colorado, and that was one of the most.
Oh, nice.
Really?
Yeah, while the full moon was coming up, and it was unbelievable. All it was missing was psychedelic drugs, but whatever. Maybe next time.
Next time.
So moving on to metal. Lenny, you said it with Merecognitum and Spectral Wound. I was going to throw them out there. And so I'll go right, keeping it in black metal. I'll give a shout out to Mork from Norway, and the album is Katedralen. I don't have it. It's on Peaceful Records, and it's Norwegian black metal, but it's very mid-paced and very musical for people into guitar riffs. It's he definitely takes his time with each song. You could tell it's not just hastily written. Anybody who likes second wave black metal with more of a traditional metal kind of format instead of like blasting would definitely like that. Okay, I will talk about my Norwegian Viking metal veterans, Einherjar. Their album North Star out on Napalm Records. I had the pleasure of interviewing the drummer Gerhard, and what a cool guy. And he explained in his his love of music. He's an older guy. He's been into metal for a long time. When you think of Viking metal, you might not think of Judas Priest, that type of style, but you have your like rough vocals, not like death metal, not clean, like somewhere in the middle, and great mid-paced stuff. You can really raise your fist to, and but then they'll bust out with like some really like Judas Priest era type guitar solo. So they definitely have music that you could fit it in the Viking realm, the pagan Viking realm, but it's got a real traditional metal soul to it. And Keeler, I know you liked it, right?
What's that?
Einherjar?
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah, Nick, I had a question for you, Nick.
This year,
Yeah,
too. I
for a
forgot
second.
about that one.
You said the last one you said, the one that was on Peaceville, what was it called?
Mork.
Mork. That band, you said it was a second wave of black metal. Is that the second wave of the 90s black metals? I just didn't know, because you said it was more rock, and the more rock black metal would
Would've
either
been
be the
older.
earlier or somewhere later on, maybe. I'm not really sure.
The guy who makes the music, Thomas Eriksson, is younger. He's a little bit younger than those guys, but he's been going for a long time. I would say, it's got some Feet and Bathory type stuff, a little bit of Venom, but it's not as breakneck. It's not as chaotic. It's more, I guess more carefully written would be the word. But yeah, you could find a lot of appeal in Mork across the spectrum of all the eras.
What's the name of the band again, Nick?
Mork, M-O-R-K.
Like Mork and Mindy.
I was going to say, is Mindy far behind, right?
It's funny. I think
joke, Nick, but that's how you spell it.
Well,
exactly how. And no, it's funny because he does a podcast too, and when he says about his band, he's like, it doesn't mean anything. It's just Mork. And he knows he gets ragged about it being like Mork and Mindy. But it's pretty good stuff. It's they put out a lot of records. Like he'll put out a record a year almost.
I know I'm a stickler to this black metal thing, but
yeah,
were you talking about what I guess what I would consider the second wave of black metal, like the second part of the second wave of black metal, or would you consider it?
I would say probably it's not as like, what do you call it? It's not as chaotic as like, old Mayhem. I would put it probably mid to late 90s, like that kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, but he's definitely doing his own thing. It's definitely something that I think, and it has crossover appeal outside of black metal, I'd say, because of
well, I'm actually was more confused about the verbiage that you used to describe it. I just wasn't quite sure more than that, because I just get confused because there's so many like different ways of describing stuff. I don't really know. Some people say that black metal, like modern day black metal started with with Mayhem or Immortal or something like that. But really I consider black metal starting with the Venom and whatever, the Bathory and maybe Enemy sounding stuff or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And I think it's probably not
because I would consider like the second wave, the third wave to be like the Demi Borger style, like the symphonic style maybe or something like
he's
that.
not. Yeah. No, I would say not that. Definitely not that.
Okay.
He's not symphonic at all, but it's very rock and roll heart to it. Really
okay.
good
it's enough of my semantics. It's okay.
No, that's okay. No, it's good. It's how it helps explain it to people. So let's see, where will I go next? I'm going to stick with black metal, and I'm going to go to England, to the UK, to the band Woad. You guys ever heard of this band? Yeah,
absolutely.
Right?
That's a great record, man.
Right? Awesome record.
Yeah.
And, beautiful choice of vinyl. I gotta show it. Let me take it out here. I just love that type of
Wow.
you know,
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
really
that's cool. Yeah.
Yep. Let's see if I can put it back. There we go. Woad is you know, how would you describe Lenny? I'm so bad at describing stuff. It's I think of stuff throughout the day that I want to say, and then when it's time to say it, it's gone.
Gotta write it down.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Got the olds. You got the olds.
It's really stuff. I mean, like thrashy in places. You know, the vocalist sounds like real evil, but like you can just about understand what he's saying. So it's not like the vocals like kind of once you read the lyrics once, you can get it. And just excellent songwriting, vicious, really good though. Like really enunciated riffing, and you just man, I can't say enough good things. It's I think it's their third album. They're a young band from the UK, and more people need to be into them. It's on $20 Spin Records.
Yeah.
I didn't say the name of it. It's called Burn in Many Mirrors. That's the name of the album. Whoa, definitely check that out. And then like moving on, Keeler said Hermitage by Moonspell, Hermitage. And I got the this box.
Oh wow.
Of course, yeah. I love Moonspell. I think they've transcended genres. They've been so creative. They all signed it.
Wow.
You know, when you
Wow, a signed box set you got.
Yeah, I didn't mess around with that.
You must know somebody in the band.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. What do you call this? Digipack? I don't know.
Digipack.
Yeah.
Never had metal albums before. Yeah, and Keeler touched on it. I mean, just unbelievable songwriting. They stride that line between like goth rock and I won't say black metal, but like definitely a more sinister metal. But if you're into like they're true to their roots there, like the old like Century Media label, like Tiamat and like all that atmospheric stuff. Great bass playing, excellent keyboards, just that they're a special band, Moonspell. They just replaced their drummer of many years.
Yeah, I noticed that in the videos, and I'm like, what happened? It's not
Yeah,
the same
Mike left
drummer.
the band. Don't know why. I interviewed
Oh,
Fernando. Fernando gave me a fantastic interview, but I know it's not something he's going to talk about. You know, he just said it just had, you know, it's one of those things. They had some kind of a disagreement. But one of the best Moonspell albums I've heard in a long time, and I loved Extinct from 2015.
Yeah, it was a great album too.
Yeah, which they're not afraid to throw their Sisters of Mercy love into their heavier cauldron of metal. So it's to me that works really well. It's not done well a lot, and they do it very well.
Yeah, you interviewed him, and he was talking about how he wrote this album. It was all about solitude and like the whole title, and it had nothing to do with the pandemic though. He wrote this before the pandemic came, right?
That's correct. It kind of the themes in it all of a sudden fit into this world.
Oh, sure does, man.
Yeah. And
the greater good's not good enough. I just love that song. I love the meaning behind it.
Yeah, it's about rejecting the world around you, just rejecting the governments, the religion, the bullshit, the propaganda, everything, you know, which I think fits most of us. We're not sitting here
right now, yeah.
Rah, all the, you know, establishment stuff. So, you know, they've been at it for a long time, and, you know, that they absolutely destroyed it on this. So far, the only album that I could think of that I might love more is, as Ryan touched on, Dread Sovereign. Alchemical Warfare. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah, these guys, and they're on Metal Blade Records, great Metal Blade Records.
Nice.
And I got the vinyl here. So what to say about them? I mean, if you love everything from Black Sabbath to speed metal, you're gonna find something in this. It's honestly, it's only because, you know, it's an album that it's a band that he does on the side. Alan Averill, the vocalist, and he plays bass on this. His daytime band is Primordial, and they're an epic, you know, band. This is just as epic, but it's definitely like guys just plugging in and just blasting off and playing. And you know, you've got this really satanic quality to it that it would definitely appeal to fans of black metal. Songs like Devil's Bane and She Wolves of the Savage Season, just phenomenal lyrics in there too. I won't repeat them because maybe it'd be a little much. The Great Beast We Serve, Nature is the Devil's Church. These are long, involved songs, and Alan's voice just He's got a clean vocal that is almost like no other. And, if you like, I mean, you grew up on Merciful Fate, you grew up on.
There's a lot of Candlemass in there too. I hear a lot of.
Thank you.
Oh,
Jesus
forget
Christ.
it.
That was what
Forget
I was
it.
trying to think of. A lot of Candlemass in
I'm
here.
buying it right now.
You know what? I thought his like the earlier Dread Sovereign is like more pure doom.
Yeah,
this one, I read in an interview, he's like, he kicked in more Bathory and more Venom.
Yes.
It's got
Wow.
that nasty rock and roll vibe too.
Sounds like I got to get a hold of this one.
Nick,
No,
so
it's fucking
that's
great.
what's that? Alchemical Warfare?
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is a play on Chemical Warfare. Yeah, Alchemical
Right.
Warfare.
And
And
what label is that on?
Metal Blade.
Metal Blade.
Oh, it is Metal
Yeah.
Blade. Okay.
This album is so good. Everything, just every song is just freaking mind blowing. Some of them are slow and epic and doomy and witchy, and then all of a sudden you're fucking going fast. And I think they definitely, it's Alan Averill just taking the gloves off and just going to war. And it's beautiful. It's a really it's gonna be interesting to see how well it does, because more people haven't heard of this, but it's on a decent label. Good night. My daughter says good night.
And that's why we're all doing the show, trying to talk about some new stuff to get out there and listen and pick up,
Yeah, and I even wore the damn shirt. I don't care how cheesy I seem.
You're a regular fan.
And
you like Primordial just a little bit anyhow.
One of my favorite bands ever in the world. Yeah.
I only got to see Primordial once. I saw them at Crocodile Rock in Allentown, PA.
Yeah.
Oh, Steve, you should have gone when me and Nick saw him at St. Vitus. There was fucking nobody there. And they
One of the greatest.
I don't remember why I didn't go to that. Maybe you didn't tell me. You probably afraid I was going to make
me.
You wouldn't ride with me in a car, then you'd afraid I'd play Sabbath on.
I still have the tour poster in there. I have the tour poster on my ceiling.
All right, cool.
Yeah, I can't.
Cool,
I don't know. I'll break my computer, but it's up there. Yeah, it was.
I'd like to. Cool.
Yeah.
I'd like to thank everybody for giving their time to the channel tonight and talking about their new stuff that they're into. And we got a few episodes up on the channel coming out, or it might have already been out. But you want to take a look into the channel. We just did an episode on Ghost, talking about our favorite songs. We did one on Merciful Fate. I interviewed Hans Van Dahl from Sabaton with Robin on the channel, and we just talked, and John set up an interesting interview. We had Ricky Rackman on a couple days ago, and that should be coming up on the channel soon, and many other things in the works. So Sabbath Arrow, that's going to be coming up in a day or two, and whatever else we can put together. John's got some secret stuff working in the books. We're going to be having fun, and so does Denny. Denny's been doing some stuff too, so we can't talk about those yet. But one is going to be Voivod, but we're going to be talking some Voivod coming up. And everybody loves Voivod in this room. I know they do.
Goddamn right.
But what do you got going on over to Sea of Tranquility we can look forward to?
Let's see. We got the Monsters Den coming up tomorrow with Chris Allo and Rich Catino, talking about our favorite slashers or boogeymen, whatever. So we're going to kind of put together a list of our 10 favorite killers, right, in classic horror film.
Nice.
Yeah, we got Sunday. Rich Catino and I are ranking the albums of new wave of British heavy metal legends, Praying Mantis.
Wow.
And the next week we got the Hudson Valley Squares on Monday. We've got In the Prague Seat on Tuesday, and lots more stuff coming up. And I actually just booked today. It's not happening until next month, but going to have Jeff Coleman, guitar player who's played with Glenn Hughes and Alan Parsons Project and all sorts of other bands and artists. So he's coming on the show in a couple weeks.
That's cool.
All sorts of stuff happening.
Anybody else want to plug anything, John, or what's going on?
Oh, he's muted.
Oh, muted.
Okay. Yeah. No, nothing really. I mean, just working on some shows, so look out for that stuff. I'm sure you'll see it before you know it.
Excellent. And anybody else want to do a closing? Nicholas, Center Square, wrap it up for us tonight.
I'd like to say that it's just so awesome to be with a group of you guys that are just cool dudes. I never thought that, when I was young, seeing Incantation play in the city, that I'd ever, be on a panel talking with John any of you. So, you know, I
You're
just
making
think
me
it's
blush.
Oh, shucks. Can't see it.
There's a lot of love in this Zoom.
I just,
A lot of love in this Zoom.
I'm like, you know, just happy to be a part of all this. So thank you all.
Well, thank you, and please take a minute and subscribe to the channel, hit like, talk about your favorite releases of this year or anything you're just listening to at this moment, and comment, and we'll talk to you soon, man. Stay fucking metal.
See ya.
Bye, everybody.
Later.